Hello everybody. Today I'm looking at my Wisteria Bonsai. This is the small lilac flowered tree. Unfortunately didn't get any trees this year, so it's going to be all about developing this trunk. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see it's not a bad looking little trunk. Got a nice flare at the bottom there, some nice movement, and it's already putting on quite a lot of growth. I've built a frame out of some bamboo canes and string so that it can climb up, and already it's almost reached the top of the bamboo, and will then have to find its way along the string somehow. But yeah, so just going to let it grow and grow until August time, and then we'll get a good old chop back to about half its new growth, 5 or 6 buds maybe, and then it'll get a further chop in the spring to promote some flowering next year, hopefully. In the meantime, hopefully it'll fatten up this trunk and give me some options. Looking at it from this side, you can see a little wire contraption which is holding these 3 canes to this bench, so keeping the whole thing very secure. The ends of the canes are just into the pot, and then, hello Coopsy, and I'm just gradually loosely tying in some of these initially with some string, and then they soon get the hang of wrapping themselves around the cane, and they will go up and up and up, and hopefully as they do, as I say, we'll get some good thickening on that trunk. Looking down the garden, there's the large white flowered Longissima grandiflora on its little podium. I'm going to zoom in a bit on that. As you can see, it's well, can you see? We did have some flower this year, not a huge amount of success, and it's moving a little closer, and I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, so the flowers are almost over now, and hasn't lived up to its name of Longissima with its 18-inch long flowers, but the flowers were pretty enough, and they're getting a bit manky now. I had about 6 or 7 flower buds form, but all of them apart from this one just shriveled up, and the buds of the flowers didn't actually open as much as turn to sort of paper and just fall away, which I'm told is a result of this hot, dry period we had in early spring, or during spring in fact, and yeah, that was what led to them just to, well, essentially the plant said, I can't sustain life and flower, so I'm going to choose life, and I bought these flowers, so that's what it did. So I've enjoyed that flower, and now that it's pretty much gone, it's time to do some work on this tree. Okay, so this is going to be one of those videos where I'm in and out a little bit. Here's a shot of the entire tree. It's too tall to get it all in and do some work on at the same time easily, so I'm going to move you in. What I want to do initially is to remove some of the lower branches to show off more of the trunk, and form the canopy, begin to form the canopy at the top. So if we start here at the Nabari, this is my perceived front of this tree, and we have a lot of these low branches which I don't want to keep. I'm going to get a big bulge here if I do. I'd already removed a branch from here before, so that these branches are going to have to come off. And this view, as I travel up the trunk, shows off the best movement. And we have some quite nice movement here towards the apex, which is just up there. Going to keep this long piece, although it is quite straight. I move that leaf out of the way. It may come off in later years. So let's just start removing some of these lower branches, and that also means removing the flower, which is a bit of a shame, but as I say, it's well past its best now, and it never really amounted to what its promise was, but it's, the tree's still settling down, I guess. And it was an exceptionally dry spring, so I obviously didn't water enough, or just the air was too dry. That was what the guy I spoke to, who knows a lot about wisterias, told me. So I'm just going to do the deed. I'm going to chop right back in there. Quite a big old chunk of wisteria. None of the cuttings I took, as it were. None of the cuttings I took rooted, that's the word I'm looking for. So I might try and take some off of these pieces. As you can see, I'm already getting a bit of a bulge here, so they've got to go. I can't tidy up that wound a little more. That's better. This needs to come in. Just need to nibble away. Make that a slightly larger wound, but it will improve the trunk line slightly. I think I'm probably always going to have a bit of a bulge there, but I can live with that. Okay, so I'm going to remove this also. And this. And yes, I'm going to remove these as well. Okay, so that's just a piece of wire holding the trunk to the cane. You may not even need it this year, but the tree is quite firmly rooted into the pot. But I'm going to leave it there, better safe than sorry, especially if we get any windy weather, and when some of these long growths, which are already, well, that one's probably already 3 foot long, I would say. If they get caught whipping about in the wind, yeah, that won't be good for setting the tree wobbling around on that plinth. So that does seem a little bit drastic work, but what I want is the long trunk with the head at the top, and I won't get a long trunk with a head at the top if I keep all the growth at the bottom. Now this piece likely going to get in the way walking up and down the garden at some point, to be honest, but I'll probably just persuade it into a loop like so, a little bit of wire and it can just loop around itself until till sort of August, and then it'll get cut back to this sort of length anyway. So yeah. So what I've done with this branch, actually, because I think it is, when it goes back on its podium, this side is going to be facing into the garden where I walk up and down. I could either try and construct some sort of giant frame, like I did with the other one. What I've done is just put a loop, and it's just a very loose loop. It's not going to cut into the tree in any way, shape or form. Just a small loop of bonsai wire. This will loop round as this extends. As this continues to extend, I'll just tie it back in again, and I may have to then, as it gets heavy, tie it back up, but at least I won't be walking into it and getting whipped in the face every time I walk past, or knocking the end off, because I do want it to just grow and not get chopped. Okay, so yeah, it's quite different. That bulge in the centre doesn't stand out too much to the eye, where I've cut those branches off, and as the wound's callous, hopefully maybe it'll blend into the background well, as that stark whiteness of the cut wood stops showing up quite so much. That's all the work I'm going to do with this one until August. Finally, last but by no means least, some of you may have saw I put a post on the community tab about this little tree that I ordered through the post. Both the previous wisteria that I showed you were Japanese wisteria, and I fancied having a Chinese wisteria as well, and so I ordered one online, and it came through, and honestly it was a sickly little battered little thing, and I wondered whether I'd wasted my money. But a little bit of cosseting, it perked up, and so I potted it up into a larger pot, and it's growing away quite steadily. I mean, all of this is new growth since it arrived, and that's only a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. Time flies. So yeah, so this is another addition to my wisteria collection. It's called Blue Rain. Looking at it, it could be a long time before I get it to flower. It's not grafted, it is a seed grown tree, and they often don't flower for anything up to 5 or even 10 years. So I'm going to have to be patient with this one, but I can still grow it into a pretty tree without the flowers, and then 5-10 years time the flowers will be a bonus. So thank you all for watching. These are troubled times, so please look after yourselves, stay safe.